I never realized the song, If I Were a Rich Man, was so long, but considering the circumstances, I was never more pleased. My father was a nice, quiet man who for some reason could not resist a microphone. He was always affable enough, but rarely initiated conversation, preferring instead to just contribute to the dialogue. He was an Irishman, born in Dorchester in 1910. Irishmen of that generation fell into two camps: boisterous, full-throated storytellers, or more taciturn observers of life. My father tended towards the latter. That is why his lifelong propensity for pop-up performances at public gatherings such as weddings, birthdays, and holiday celebrations came as a surprise to those who did not know him well. A surprise for some, a millstone for my dear mother. This lovely woman craved respect, but abhorred the spotlight. She dreaded attending large public functions, knowing that if a microphone were present, Dad would commandeer it. Inevitably, as he made his way towards the stage, she would exit stage right to the powder room. You see, my father had trouble sustaining both pitch and tone for the full duration of his chosen songs. No, he wasn't the finest singer, but what he lacked in talent, he more than made up for with delivery and charm. It was a shame that Mom didn't stay to see that by how the end of his repertoire, Dad had everyone smiling and clapping. The obvious delight Dad took in entertaining won over every audience. Guests would, in fact, often beg him to do another number. Then in early 1984, Dad had his first stroke. For a son, it was difficult watching this normally cheerful man, full of life, struggling to regain his speech and struggling to keep his balance for the game. Slowly, the physical damage seemed to be overcome as he worked diligently at his rehabilitation. More troubling was his loss for the simple joys of life. While his speaking skills improved, he rarely chose to speak. The smile, which so warmed so many people, seemed to be permanently erased. He appeared to be psychologically going through the motions of life. Our family had a Christmas gathering at Watch Hill in Westerly, Rhode Island. A relative was the auxiliary bishop who was able to use a cottage which had been willed to the church for our traditional holiday get-together. My wife and I drove my parents to the event, where we caught up with the many aunts, uncles, cousins, nephews, and nieces which make up our extended family. The evening was fun, relaxed, and convivial, with everyone paying extra attention to Dad, who accepted the well wishes with a series of quiet thank you responses. Towards the end of the night, Dad made his way to the center of the living room and tapped his cane on the wooden floor. Suddenly, slowly, he began singing, "Dear God, you made many, many poor people." All the chatter, all the conversations stopped as the family listened. "I realize, of course, that it's no shame to be poor," he continued in a surprisingly strong voice. Who knew there are 9 long verses to If I Were a Rich Man? By the time he lustily concluded with "Yiddle diddle 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 man," he was luminous and I was a wreck. So my Irish father's singing a Jewish lament at a Catholic cottage at Christmas time was the harbinger that Leo Rafters was not yet finished with entertaining all life. My father died mostly peacefully 12 years later in 1996. Yes, Dad, you were a rich man. Happy Father's Day.